Our program today is our opportunity to recognize and thank our bishop, his wife Susan, and Mary Ann Rhoads, and Notte, and Mary Ann Clergy, who will all be entering into retirement.
The blessed state.
Bishop Chiff and Susan came to us almost 10 years ago. Our bishop has been an advocate for racial justice, diversity, and putting an end to gun violence. The words of one Bible verse might come to my mind when I think of our bishop, because he has been a living example of our need to seek justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. On a personal note, I will always cherish my bishop's outreach to me and that in my mother. Something I'll always remember is that call. Canon Mary Ann Rhoads is the executive assistant to our bishop and has served in that capacity for numerous others of our religions for 34 years. I go back to that. And Mary Ann is an institution of our own right in the Diocese of New Jersey. Her outgoing and friendly manner has endeared her to the clergy and lay people of our diocese. Canon Ann Notte has served the diocese in administrative offices, most recently as office and convention manager. And most of the retired clergy recognize her as the person who we send our annual non-parochial research report to each year, but she has many tasks in keeping this diocese working. She retires this year, having served 25 years in the diocese. Mary Ann Clisham is a more recent addition, having arrived 8 years ago to the diocesan administrative staff, serving as receptionist and office assistant. He is also retiring this year. Bob Vignati sent me one other thing that I need to say about these 3 days. They have been very good in helping us get things organized, including getting the newsletter out, an email, an hard copy, putting together the retired clergy spouses directory, and Ann even chooses the menu for our in-birth luncheons. So we have good reason to be very happy with these 3 that we're honoring along with our bishop and his wife. At this time, the bishop would like to have a chance to have a conversation with us.
We have to do the presentation.
We would do the presentation.
Oh, that'll be good. That'll make it nice.
Okay. Presentations first. All right. So we'll have the Reverend Alan Salmon, who will present my opera right now. He wants to be done. He wants to be done.
I'll push it down for you. I want you to own this. Okay. All right. Man, cars. Something for that. That was so not correct.
Well, he is an institution.
I'm 6 and cannot have the wedge.
That's right.
Yes. Wow. All news. Yes, I did. That's why I wanted you to see it first. It is a statuette given to you from the retired clergy and their spouses, or the other way around. But you can put it down. It is not an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, or a Tony. Although some of your performances may have earned. But it is a very small copy of the statuette of the Good Shepherd in the Vatican Museum. The original is 39 inches high. is a popular figure drawn from funerary art on sarcophagi, reminding us of course, John and Matthew and Luke's reference to Jesus as the Good Shepherd, or his depiction of Jesus as the Good Shepherd. This is one that is thought to be inspired by the sarcophagus from the catacombs of Domitilla in Rome, from probably 350 AD. It was then restored by Giuseppe Angelini in 1764. Now, it will look, well, is it a lamb or a ram? Some people think it's a ram. I am hopeful it is a ram. Not the one in the thicket sacrificed to spare Isaac's life, but just an old sheep, like so many of us, what you have taken care of. Blessings always have happened with remembrances to you and Susan of your sojourn among us. That was
First of all, thank you. I'm so grateful to see you all here, and I hope you've all met our grandson, Lily, middle grandchild, who's up with us for a few days from Florida. He's a PK. His dad's a priest at St. Andrews in Cutler Bay. We're just drive out of here. And I thought I just want to say thank you all for all your service over the years. And I've been able to stop in at this luncheon periodically and say hi, and it's wonderful to see the familiar faces. And also to see the brightness of those odds that are retired odds. Bob's asked me to be here for this last one. And as I said at the convention, I don't know how many of you looked in on convention or participated, but I love the fact that there comes a point when the only vocabulary we have Rhoads' book. The last thing we have is thank you, and that's the point at which I am at this stage in my ministry in the Diocese of New Jersey. I am overwhelmed by the presence of these two women who have been just amazing during my 10 years. Marion and Clisham came on at 8, but it's like we've been here forever. I mean that in the best possible way. And just, you fit this team so well. But Marion wrote and Notte, to think, of 50 years between them of life supporting us in this diocese. We have been tremendous and just an incredible gift to me. Just have never had to worry. You make it look easy. Just point me in the right direction and tell me to go. And that's what you hopefully want so much of. That's that I just can't beat in the speaking. And then, I always have said Marianne knows my job better than I know our job. She's seen others do it and really love it. So I thank you for that. Susan has been stalwart, and do you want to sing any?
Sounding spoke.
I didn't know if we wanted to say anything, and we didn't talk about that. I thought we might just. I think the main hit for Susan. I don't want to speak for her, but she had a very defined role when we came up from law. At St. Paul's Delray Beach, she is an active part of the church and an active part of the staff. Actually, she was the Children Youth and Family Minister for St. Paul's Delray Beach, and it was a big operation. And I came up to New Jersey, and the bishop's spouse has no defined role, and it's a very different kind of thing than your parish, because you don't have a community to find that rhythm with. And so I know that's not always been easy, really, but you've always been so supportive of what I've been doing. I'm deeply grateful for that.
I'm excited you're getting the fire.
Susan has the countdown on her fault. What she calls the Crozier handoff. It literally says that. The Crozier handoff at 11 o'clock on June 24th. That's exactly what it's gone down.
I do know, and I remember I was walking along this driveway with George Council on November 2nd. It is interesting that I was consecrated on the Feast of All Faithful. Process.
Well, things trans.
Yeah. So at any rate, I was walking along with George Council, and as we headed over to the cathedral, I said, if anything happens in the next 45 minutes, it's your problem. And I'm profoundly aware that the roles have been reversed. I should share a note from, I do want to share this with you. I literally just saw it today. But you'll appreciate, all of you will appreciate this. I love George. And I've said it before, I cannot say it too many times. I will always be grateful to be the bishop that followed George Council. All clergy don't like to follow beloved predecessors. I was thankful for a beloved predecessor. He did so much healing work in this diocese that would not have made my ministry as possible as it did, because he did the work he did. And this is from Ruth, just came, as I said, dear Chip, it seems such a short time ago that George handed the crozier on to you, and now you will be handing it on to Sal. I wish to extend my warm congratulations, blessings, and prayers to you and Susan as you make the significant transition. I couldn't help but notice that the date for your retirement celebration falls on the 5th anniversary of George's passing. I know that his spirit has been with you and the diocese during your episcopate, and I know he is with you in spirit this day. May you carry with you a sense of fulfillment for a job well done, as well as the blessings and love of all whom you faithfully served. May the years ahead be filled with grace and continued blessing as a new chapter of your life unfolds, and may your life and Susan's continue to be light in the world wherever you are led, faithfully and affectionately yours. We have sweetest to us. Yeah, you can do that. Some of you heard me share, as I do with baseball, they would call it a tour. The tour is for retired players who are retiring, and they do the stadium the last time. You'll appreciate this, that a number of places acknowledge the fact that I'm retiring and made it part of my tour. And give me little bits and things like that to say thank you, and I'm deeply grateful. But you also hit that point where that I hit when I was at St. Paul's, Delray Beach, Florida. And, as you do know, I was elected on May 4th of 2013. The consecration was November 2nd. I started August 1 as Bishop elect in the Diocese of New Jersey, 2013. And Susan and I came up here. You might imagine at St. Paul's, Delray Beach, and a lot of winter parishioners who were going to go back up north for the summer. So they started getting the farewell events in quickly after my election. And there were a number of them, and so we came up here in June we had to do some things up here before heading up to Michigan, actually, where I had a song gig. I was doing that up in Huddersfield, Michigan. And George was in the office. So I went in there and said, how are you doing? I said, well, I'm doing fine, but we need to get out of Delray Beach because they keep saying the Bible and they keep not going anywhere. He said, have you ever heard, those of you who George know his music selection. He said, have you ever heard the song from Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks, How Can I Miss You If You Won't Go Away? It was perfect. It was absolutely. I actually played that song for the congregation on the last Sunday. So I thought that the best thing to do would be just open it up and let you ask me any questions, share any thoughts that you have. I'll respond in whatever way you're looking for. I am grateful to those of you who wrote, many of you did, in the one of my mother's death. And that was a great gift, and a stack of cards. You'll have responses to get on to some of those.
So what's your plan for the next 6 months or a year?
Yeah, so I'm not planning any, except to go catch up with children and grandchildren. So thrilled that we're going to go have a New York adventure tomorrow.
And you are to say that. That's it.
Yeah, no, I believe I'm not no problem. I don't want to overprogram. I want to be discerning. I recognize that the wonderful book that they gave us at the Israel Thailand conference for the bishops, and don't retire, rewire.
That's a nice concept.
Right. I don't know what the rewiring looks like, but I'm going to take my time about it and be careful. I'm being assisted in some ways. I hope, I think, and confident about all that's going on in the Diocese of Florida right now, because that is in fact the diocese into which we're moving. And so, I'm just, the diocese, for those who don't know, the Diocese of Florida runs pretty conservative. I don't. At any rate, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the consents. I am not, I would not make an acceptable provision. I would need, so that's not it's not there. We'll have to find somebody who can really be a provisional in the diocese. And I said to some people, tongue in cheek, but maybe not so tongue in cheek, I might go sing in the choir at St. Giles Cathedral, and I would love to do that. I sang in the choir last week at House of Bishops, and I had a blast. And they got pretty good choir at House of Bishops. We got pretty good. Well, thank you for that. God's grace and a lot of treaty. So for now, just I am also I also am very concerned about what's going on in Florida politically. I can't abide that. They're building a fascist state, and that's not tolerable. I don't know what that looks like to resist that peacefully, but something needs to be done.
And the car.
Yep. Others. I'll even make it easier. Yeah.
Sit down for House of Bishops.
Sure. House of Bishops meeting is a profound meeting. It's, I think, all of the best is a part of. So we were camped on Napa, Alabama, and the presiding bishop framed it pretty fixly with the opening sermon, and talked about that we really are in this conjunction of this, which we are all the time. I'm just done from acknowledging where Good Friday and Easter meet, and we're oftentimes caught in that conjunction points of death and resurrection. And we certainly are there as a church right now. It is no secret, I hope, that me of you, that the church we knew is dying. I don't know what it was like, and what God has in station for the church moving ahead. We, all of us, have been faithful to a church we love, in which we were acculturated. And it is a very different church that's being evolved right now by God's grace and power, and I support that. Don't about this. I would say to folks, I'm a chaos theoretician. I mean that, in the sense that, from my understanding, I'm not an expert on this at all, but I've done some reading. I actually taught a course on chaos and theology. My understanding is that none of us can factor in all the variables at any given time. None of us knows what God's up to. But the other, that past year is always about to do patterns, battles, and duty. And I think that's what God's up to somehow right now. If we can't see it in all the chaos and disorder that's so much a part of the lives of the world in which we live. And so we can live faithfully. And I know that's what you've done, and that's what I've tried to do too. I can only be faithful. I can only respond to the things that are in front of me. To the church, God's called to respond, and that's what we've been trying to do. It's adaptive work. It's experimental. It's trying to discern what God is up to in Jesus Christ, the power of the Holy Spirit. Send prayers all the time. If God were here, Jesus were upon us today. And it is not the institutional church, again, that all of us have served and performed for. Something different. The deep things of the church that you and I would recognize as the essentials. Jesus, sacraments, the virtues, I think we're all in place. Our right? And it fits a younger generation, and that's why also the I career is different. I recognize that the House of Bishops, this is a House of Bishops question, was so diverse this time, remarkable than what it's stated. I was at the last House of Bishops. I was at General Convention to see it there. But I remember when I first went in the House, we were at some meeting early on in my episcopate, And I believe there were only 3 diocesan women bishops. And I want you to know that the men were stopped by that. It said we need to be partners. I was at the Union. So, the bull was born to help bring about this change. By the Bible, he decided we want to change big changes at church. And again, based by the power of the Holy Spirit, we have done like a whole group of people in the House of Bishops right now. That's there. And it'll continue to be diverse in every way. So thanks to that. The sort of cornerstone experience we had in the House of Bishops was we made a pilgrimage to Montgomery together. And we walked to the Legacy Museum in the morning. Does everyone know what the Legacy Museum is? It was established. Brian Stevenson, that in the event. Brian Stevenson is the author of a book called Just Mercy. I love Brian Stevenson. I've seen him on TV and things like that before. And I've read Just Mercy and I saw the movie and I thought that was great. He was a lead force. The Equal Justice Institute was a primary force in making sure that the Legacy Museum happened, which tells the story, really, of racism in this country, emerging from transatlantic slavery, through Jim Crow, through today, to BK police violence and things like that. And really, the impact for me of the Legacy Museum was profound. And also it made me think about the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. Because, how many of you have been there? It is an incredible museum. And the way that Albert Sham works in Jerusalem is they built that building so that you go through corridors and watch as Nazism and the final solution evolves. First, beginning to change laws. First, stirring up communities to be hate-filled, to persecute neighbors, and then moving into more codification, and then moving into sedition, crystal mouth and destruction, and then attain debts through last years. And that's what this museum does too. Took us through the landing of the transatlantic slaves in 1619, and then just watch. There were things that show how many ships, and in what years, as a movie display, how many ships just came through with slaves, just to tell that narrative, and all the way through. So that when we went to, after we visited the museum, we didn't really have enough time there. We went to lunch at St. John's Episcopal Church in Montgomery, where some of you may know Duncan Johnston. Duncan Johnston's the new rector there. And that's what Ron Stevenson spoke us. They had lunch, and then Brian Stevenson spoke to us for about an hour. And was stunning. He preached his faith from the core. Again, really, the fundamental thrust of Brian Stevenson's work is the importance that we all need to own of demythologizing the American myth. We tell ourselves a story, and a lot of it stays a lie. It is. And I say that, friends, as somebody whose family roots go back to 1640 in this country. I can tell you where the slaveholders were in my family tree. It's all there. And we, especially, we own that reality. That's where Brian sees it. But he will not be well, any of us, until we can be honest about that. And as long as we continue to try to shore up a lot, we will be at enmity with one another. That's a fact. So we did that, and then we went from there to the National Memorial for Peace and Justice. Again, another, it's a national memorial, so it's funded by the federal government, but a really powerful, poignant testimony of the history of lynching in this country. And some of you probably seen some stories about it with the big monolithic stumps hanging from the ceiling to the rafters. And you walk, it was a huge thing. Just, I don't know how many hundreds of those stones are in there, but for every county in the country where there's been a lynching, there's stones. And of course, like I said, I know where my family's history is. So I went and looked at the book, County, West Carolina. It really found my direct descendants, Stokes, and found it. And so they process these things. And you have to process them. But some of you may remember that not long ago, Trinity Cathedral sponsored a book study. And the word of the book got out beyond the community. And Flapwong and Chester Johnson, the name of the book was Damaged Heritage. And little keep going to check out. His story is a powerful story. And what I really appreciated was that concept of damaged heritage. Chester Johnson, his grandfather, was an active participant in the Lane Massacre in Lane, Arkansas. And he discovered that and realized that he was confronted by the reality that his grandfather had participated in this dastardly thing. And yet he loved his grandfather. And that's the place where so many of us found ourselves in. We love our banners and we love pieces of our history, and yet we also have this damaged heritage that has contributed to what has happened in this country. And some people say, well, why not forget the past? No. The problem is that we've built so many things in the structure of the present based on that past, involved in this culture because of that past. And we might remove those things. And so those of us who come from more British backgrounds are able to live and benefit continually from them. If you've not read the book, The Color of the Law, read the book, The Color of the Law. A really an easy, approachable book that talks about how the country systemically, by law, at every level, create segregation. Create. So, there it is. Anyway, those were the kind of highlights. We also were, on Monday, Sophronia Scott, who's an author, African-American author, wrote this process about how to tell our narratives and begin to think of ways of doing that. And she was fabulous. And she's written a novel that's just come out recently called Beautiful, Wild, and Free, which is actually about one woman who's born into a plantation family, but is child a slave of the plantation owner who escapes. She's self-empowered, and so really very interesting and readable novel. Sorry, others.
Fish read about
Sure.
That's it. Here's just that part about into the nation today. Isabel Lucas's book entitled Cost is an excellent map that helps the reader to understand how important it is for all Americans to realize so many things about the existence of the societal hierarchy within which we are entrenched, but it managed to all Americans.
Yeah. Cass is an important book.
Yes.
Another walk that the civil is waking up well. It's about the security. It's one of the book. I have this book around. And also Michelle Alexander's the
New Jim Crow is a must read. Just how the New Jim Crow was the narrative is really about how the law, drug laws and the war on drugs was really designed to persecute the Black community and young Black men, which is why we ended up with mass incarceration. Others.
Can you say a little bit more about how the more diverse younger bishops maybe have some ideas about the future that we all feel?
I don't. I think that's going to evolve as well. Because we never had this kind of policy. We were both on this. We had our table conversations, but mostly about the experiences we were having. And of course, their experiences in that we didn't know, right? So that was really a helpful piece. But I think all that stuff is going to be emerging as things move forward. In these bizarre times too, where we're just sort of figuring out how to move the church forward. Let's go.
You said there were 4 women bishops we just borrowing? How many would you say?
Yeah, it was dioceses. I think we're about 40 right now. And the House of 100, yeah, well, at least almost 40. So, it's well over a third.
Are you going to continue meeting with the House of Bishops and going to General Convention?
I'm not planning to. Yeah, I'm not planning to at this stage.
A peace and one?
Yeah, because I think that, part of what I've been here to General Convention is, I've been a delegate to General Convention in one way, shape, or form for quite some time, is to tell those of us who are in power positions and white male to get out of the way. We've dominated the room long enough. Let's give others a chance. Right?
Let me know I'm to do to diocesan involvement.
Oh, you don't. We're retired. We're at NPCs. I saw out. I didn't send it. Or try talk to you. I'm entitled to go.
I've not voted for any budgets. And I'm not placing the vote. There's a position.
Right. Yeah.
So, that being said, and your experience with the last 10 years, what would you hope for the retired clergy and all in the diocese?
Be supportive. I think that's always the case. Be prayerful, be supportive, look for opportunities to serve and help. I think listen more. I think we're all challenged. We know we've got 2 or 3 missing generations right now. None of us is solid pop. If only we be answer, we'd be doing it, we'd be full, but we're not. So I think we need to be listening, to be very sensitive about that, and be supportive when people want to take chances, especially. We can share our experiences, but we should be careful about asserting their experiences on the way. Right?
To my day, work hard with Macy. Obviously, this service, diocese church. Well, it had a jet line.
But
With 10 years from now, where will we be?
yeah, well, and I should be remiss in not saying thank you to you, and also Deacon Tricia Thorne and all of the advisory vote, as well as the founding congregations and people who got with this, the free services of New Jersey off the ground. As I think everyone levels, that happened because I felt that there was no one place that joined us together as a diocesan community to help us really support and impact the human needs ministries and justice issues that we share as a diocesan community. And we're one gathering place, and that's what ECSNJ is supposed to be. So, I think that human need is not going away, and I think the justice is not going away. And it is always important that we keep both of those in creative tension, because wherever there's human need, there's almost always injustice. And if we're simply meeting the human need, then we're part of the problem, not part of the solution. Toxic chatter, right? So we need to make sure that we're constantly in that conversation and tension of asking, why is it that we need this feeding program? Why is it that we need this shelter for the abused widow? Why is it we need, right? And that we're doing something about the why is it, as much as we are about the need that's presently in front of us. And so I think that I can hope that ECSNJ will become part of the DNA of the Diocese of New Jersey, that it will be something embraced by everybody as a means of the community that is the Diocese of New Jersey, constantly working in concert to accomplish important work on God's behalf, gospel justice. I said that I was with the ECS spoke several months ago on retreat, and one of the things that social justice has become kind of a bad word in some works, of social justice, the liberals again. Social justice. People said, you're being political. No, I'm living according to how I read the gospel. And I'll own that. I had a priest try to call me on some of the things I've said. I said, you show me where I can't support that with the gospel position, and I'm back on it. And they didn't take me up. So it's on who we are, and on what God and Christ calls us to. And do the work. And I think that's what ECSNJ allows us to do as a diocesan community. As you know, I continually look for the person to make the $2 million donation that will secure the foundation of that, so that we'll keep going on to perpetuity. Maybe that will come out, but I'll keep sending it until it does. First.
just an observation that Bishop Colson was a very popular bishop,
Yeah.
and you followed him.
Yeah.
What did make me do right
Yeah.
for allowing him to be you?
Oh, well, yeah, I didn't, and I was clear. I'm clear I'm not, and I wasn't. And George was clear about that. We both understood it well. I think that if you go back and you read the profile for the election of the 12th Bishop of New Jersey, that profile was my marching orders. And in that profile, it made a number of observations. One was that the fair share system wasn't fair, and we had to address that, and we did. Now, we're struggling right now, but yeah, I'm in a different universe, But I think by going with the observation giving and being mandated and trying to look at that basis, I think that was an important thing. The profile also said hard decisions were made, and they haven't. And I think that, George came into a situation that was very conflicted. And both David Jocelyn and Herbert Donovan were also feelers and did all they could to try to, and they got the diocese to a place where they can elect George. So I think the stir was at work in all of them. But George continued to have to do healing work for 10 years. And some of that necessitated putting off some hard decisions. And I think by the time I came in, people were a little bit more ready for some of that kind of work to shop. And again, we were, I think that my episcopate are more focused on discipleship, and those kinds of things that have occurred. I could have been more pastoral. I think that would be the critique. It has to. I tried to be, but I think George that was his strength. Mine has been formation. That's kind of how I've been things were. And of course, the work that we've done in the Boston. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, that comment, I first time here since I was confirmed by this doctor, not already in fact, when I was 12, not, and then was ordained by Bishop Pioneer, Van Duzer, a whole lot. Almost all there, and we're through that in right.
Well, my portrait.
Yeah. But I've noticed that the bishops I've worked at all have their own personality, all of their own thought. They don't have their, and I found them all the quite not wonderful, except for Jill Stokes. He's the only one that I really had involved with. When he came to my parish, he said, I'll figure out how I'm going to tell you, we'll not butch up. But that's the only one that I want you. So all of that's the one, me in my ministry. My parish is I went up, didn't want to, actually for 35 years, And I appreciate each one of you in your different roles. I love one more the same what they've been telling. No.
I was letter. Wow.
I want to listen to you were like, I was wrecked.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. Done it.
Not long, but I felt from all the talk to the few strangers, and the probability of that call. And sometimes I've done, okay. Wow. Some of all. It's a very difficult time to be a bishop and a priest. But, unprecedented. Yeah. There it is. Be faithful, right? Let's be faithful. There's a wonderful quote I have. I'll share it with you. It's in my prayer list. And I love it. Anyone know Rabbi Nachman of Breslau?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great savior. And I quoted him actually at convention, my convention address. The quote I was at convention address was this: when a person wants to pray, when a person wants to pray and ask for what he needs, he should first thank God for all his past kindnesses and only ask for what he needs. Because if he starts by asking only for what he needs, God says, I did not do the thank you for it. So I love that. But this is the one that really jumped out at me when I first started reading it. It said, God, I stand beaten and battered by the countless manifestations of my own inadequacies. That we must live with joy. Aiding in this quest of God, help me find satisfaction and a deep, abiding pleasure in all that I have, in all that I do, in all that I am.
Yes.
It really is tired. I don't keep.
here.
Why do I not at the presentation for? We're stupid.
I think there's one more thing for
Says,
Liverpool. Alessandro.
no, nationally, go ahead.
It's over. Susan, get caught up.
So,
Right up for you for all the giving up. I had to give it up more. I don't know about that. And for all the that for all the for our bishop, we cannot be more grateful. And the hospitality you've shown, I'm sure most of us have hit your home, and tasted your cooking, and all those wonderful things. So thank you. You've been a great role model for so many of us. And so this, to put together, things just in case you get homesick for New Jersey, because this has been out for 10 years. So there's a New Jersey candle that says homesick, so you can burn that here, Florida, Boston, think of us.
It doesn't smell like Elizabeth, but I really I remember get trouble, Elizabeth. I love Elizabeth.
Wait, how did I spell it? Sure.
Yeah. I love Elizabeth. I take it back. I remember as a kid going for Elizabeth. And just,
How many people here are native New Jerseyans?
there we go.
No, come on. I thought people were. No, not to believe. No, people were out of town. That's how to drive to that all on the weekend. Weekend. That's when you think, what's wrong with my car? When you're retired, every day is Saturday. It's kind of a long. The don't check that, but that's it. You have some flexibility. And just some other things to remind you of your time here in New Jersey at Fowl and the Beach Haven on it. Also, they're in small. And it's just the beach snow. You have in wonderful colors. Thank you so much. And thank you for it has been a joy to be here with you all. I have, with Chip, been to this group, especially when we first got to the diocese. And while there's almost before COVID hit, and Chip was as busy as he was. But this is the group we're going to. And keep on existing. Keep on supporting one another. It's so important to have a support group that you're a part of, that understands your story, that understands what you've been through, that you can pray for each other and tend to one another, and to be a flock together. Because I know you all probably miss your parishes sometimes and miss that way of being and how grand it is to sit with other people who know that story and who can and feel that same thing that you. And Jack doesn't know about this yet. I don't know. Jack just retires and just came here. But thank you, Ron. We will always hold you in our hearts. Thank you. What's this guy? Well, we have here for tables 5 activities. One of them is purple, so maybe you can guess who that is. They want to happen.
Thank you.
And all the sense Asian blue class a level of you written. And I made very I'm married at on my I just bought me honest I did to talk about the now. So nerd I'm on. So the instruction thing written up and they just on how those in fact the problem person
Last time I had to hear this to announce a brand stock.
after the side.
No. Oh, beautiful.
Well, then you'll start
Round. Round clear. A house gang.
I find on a lot of strokes about that's this New Jersey and finally be strong in the world and in the sight of his power.
Excellent.
Won't say Easton.
Oh my God, artist. I'm really push. I keep saying this because it's the truth and I'm hoping that everyone will take this away with them, but I'm trying here. I hope I can hold this together. I have developed such a profound connection to all of you. And food. I just want to mention here that during this ministry, I love it. And I take away such great memories and will hold them in your heart forever. And I want to thank you all for letting me serve you up.
And anyway, I think I was in fifth grade when I started here. But actually, one of our clergy did say to me, "How long have you been here?" And I said, "A couple of years." And he said, "Did you work for Bishop Banyard?" I said, "No." But anyway, it has been an honor, a joy, and a pleasure. I'm going to miss it terribly. I think I have it in my blood. It just, I can't imagine life without Diocese of New Jersey. I'm looking forward to retiring. Not to look count, but it's at 100 days. I'm sure probably 100 days, 4 hours, 23 minutes, and 3 seconds.
You work a full day then.
To 4 o'clock.
So you work for the full day.
Yeah, I know. I get called all the time. I used to tell people, I think the clock's wrong on my computer. And that was full of that. So the emails I've gotten on Saturday. I know, guys. So I just can't help myself. And then they come on my phone. Yeah. So then I can't. It's all that.
We all know what it's like to look please at the U.S. is cut all up.
Oh, sure. Gracious God, we give you thanks for your Spirit's movement in our world and our lives, in our common life, as the people of God that make up the Diocese of New Jersey. I thank you especially for the clergy of this diocese, the retired clergy, being spouses, who all love you and desire to do only your will. Well, in peace, be of good courage, hold fast to that which is good, render to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the afflicted, indeed honor all people. Love and serve the Lord, rejoicing in the power of the Holy Spirit. And the blessed God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be upon you and remain with you this day and always. Amen. And walk with thanks to you for recording.